Hot cross buns, hot cross buns, 1 a penny, 2 a penny. Hot cross buns, give them to your daughters, give them to your sons. Hot cross buns. Welcome everyone to Young at Heart, session number 63. I'm Father James DeLucio in the Paulist Fathers Parlor here in New York City. I hope you had a chance to see a prelude to today's session that I posted on James DeLucio Facebook page and the Facebook page Luke Live. It was a cartoon that was so delightful of children puppets preparing and baking and tasting hot cross buns. And what made me think of it was an article in the paper yesterday where it was noted that in many supermarkets throughout the country, there's a shortage of flour and baking powder, which can only mean many of us are baking to while away the hours while we're in quarantine. Personally, I love to bake. It's a great exercise. I find it very relaxing. Taking my time, focusing, measuring everything out precisely. And then there's that sense of adventure and trust, because we never fully know how our baked goods are going to come out in the end. So many variables, just like in life. The pans that we use, even the mixing bowls and the mixers, and then the pans which we place the dough or the batter into, or the cookie sheets that we use, and then the ovens and the variables and temperature and the placement of the racks. Oh my goodness. And yet there's something that comes out of it all, and tasty treats for us to have, showing that our sense of adventure and trust are well worth it. And even when they don't seem so, and we're not really happy or proud of what's come out, we're in there trying, which are, again, are very important aspects of life, no matter what age we are. In the nursery rhyme in my Mother Goose book, it's actually entitled Good Friday Song, because for centuries, probably from the Middle Ages on, people would make these hot cross buns on Good Friday. It was a day of fasting for Christians, no meat in particular, and so taking some wheat and some other ingredients, baking them with these little buns. They're more like rolls with a few little sweet raisins or fruits in them, very few, just a few, in this roll, and then you made a cross and then put some icing on the top. They reminded us of the good part of Good Friday, in which we're to understand that Jesus on the cross was calling everyone to compassion, not only for his suffering, but for all the suffering in the world, particularly the suffering that we're responsible for in terms of how we treat others. And the more compassion we experience, not guilt, but compassion, the more we can be resurrected to live our lives better, more caring, more loving, more forgiving, as Jesus is. Our next selection is a poem that uses a lot of universal images. It's called I Saw a Ship A-Sailing. Ships, of course, have many different metaphors, the ship of life, and that sense that we're always waiting for something better. When our ship will come in, we speak of that. Who knows how far back in time that phrase has been part of the human language, and in many, many languages indeed. So here we go, and there's a lesson similar to our reflection on the cross, actually, in this poem. I saw a ship a-sailing. I saw I saw a ship a-sailing on the sea, and it was full of pretty things for baby and for me. There were sweetmeats in the cabin, and apples in the hold, and all the sails were made of silk, and the masts were made of gold. The 24 sailors that stood between the decks were 24 white mice, with chains upon their necks. The captain was a duck, with a packet on his back, and when the ship began to move, the captain cried, "Quack, quack." Well, the first part, we certainly got that sense of hoping for our ship to come in and all the treasures of the world that we long for. The second part, though, reminds us how in the animal world, the bigger animals take advantage of the lower animals or the smaller animals. In this case, those poor mice. And yet, it reminds us how in our humanity and human history, those of more power or strength would take advantage of those with no power or no strength, can make us humble indeed. And although, of course, we all like to have pretty things, it poses the question again, who owns who? Do we put our do we put our pretty things to good use, or do they use us by our constant attention to them? Do we share? Do we invite people in to how we use our pretty things, whatever they may be? Or do we just keep them to ourselves? Which reminds me of a song about a ship that helps us cut to the heart of what true treasure is. Oh my goodness, I'm a little tongue-tied today. True treasure is. The song is by Kurt Weill, a German Jewish composer who came to the United States, so he's a German Jewish American, and Ira Gershwin, the brother of George Gershwin, lyricist, who worked together after George's untimely death from an illness when he was only in his 30s. But Kurt Weill lived quite a long life, so did Ira Gershwin, and this song came from a musical they wrote called Lady in the Dark, produced on Broadway in 1941, and it's recorded by many vocalists. Again, our nursery rhyme, I Saw a Ship a-Sailing, gave me the impetus to share this song with you. My Ship by Kurt Weill and Ira Gershwin. My ship's a sail made of la-da-da. I didn't get the right words. I am having such a day, but I'm not going to start over because I can't tell you how many times I've started over today. So let me just compose myself a moment, ask the Lord to inspire me with that first line. I got it. My ship has sails that are made of silk. The decks are trimmed in gold, and of jam and spice there's a paradise in the hold. My ship's aglow with 1,000,000 pearls, and rubies fill each bin, and the sun sits high in a sapphire sky. When my ship comes in, I will wait the years till it appears one fine day, one spring. But the pearls and such, they won't mean much if there's missing just one thing. I do not care if that day arrives. My dream will never be. If the ship I sing doesn't also bring my own true love to me, if the ship I sing doesn't also bring my own true love to me. Love's the best gift. Thank you so much for joining me today. Stay healthy, keep safe, and God bless. Bye, everyone.